Hey, and boom, boom, bam, we're live. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Let's see. Chris Everett's out there. How's it going, Chris? Good to see you. Team Snagging Whiskers. Dustin. Dustin second. And here that's better than first. There you go. That's right. 14 awesome people. Bugman's out there. Oop, my screen jumped. Lance is out there. How's it going, Lance? All right. Let's see. There we go. So it is getting to that time of year where the big fish are starting to come back out again. Lisa Elliott, how you doing, Lisa? Lana, how you doing? Good to see you. Lance is going out chasing salmon again tomorrow. There is the link if anybody wants to come up and talk about some catfish or something they got going on with their channel. Judy Booty in the house. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. JBT's here. Good to see everybody. Hey, Triple W, Whiskers, Wings, and White Tails. Best name out there. Nina's Kayak Crew. How you doing, Nina? Great to see you. Silver Fox Sandy. That's right. We definitely. Ernie, what's up, Ernie? Good to see you. Mindy Hogan. How are you? How are you? Okay. It flew by the last time, so like I said, there's a link. Dropped it out there if anybody wants to come up. We're just gonna be talking about catfishing for a little while. Talking about that's right. Hope everybody's having a great Friday evening. Man, only a week away. CatCon is a week away. If anybody is going to be in the Kansas City area, you can get your tickets. Get your tickets ahead of time. Go to catfishconference.com. The link is out in the description. Oh, that's cool, Lance. Tony Harrison out there. Hello, Tony. Hold on a second. Oh. So good to see you, Judy Booty. Hey, Martin S. How you doing, Martin? Good to see you. Paul Boyd's out there. Mac Fishing said his daughter found the pink Nina Kayak Crew hat and fell asleep with it on her head the other night. That's awesome. There's Roger. Muskrat Adventures is out there. How's it going? 34 awesome people out there. Tablet. There we go. Now I can see more than one comment at a time. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, she's something else, right, Nina? So for those that didn't see already, the So You Think You Fish that was scheduled for tomorrow is going to be postponed on Muskrat's channel, considering that the majority of people fishing in it were here along the East Coast. A lot of different bad weather conditions out there, so that will not be going on tomorrow morning. Uh, boom, boom, boom. Nina's kayak crew. So glad to be part of the Two Stands family for 8 months. Wow, I can't believe it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jimmy G's out there. How's it going? No problem, no problem. Doing all right, doing all right. Yes, hopefully. Uh, hopefully. Boom, boom, bam. All right, Mac fishing. Two Stands fish fishing family member for 9 months. Can't wait to be back on stand day. That's awesome. Can't wait to have you back, Mac. Freddie's Outdoor Adventures. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you, thank you. Much love for Freddie. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, so hope everybody that is in the path of the storm, hope everybody's doing well. And Judy Booty says, who's in Hawaii and wants to take Judy Booty fishing? Yeah, Judy Booty, she's a pretty good fishing partner. Oh, boom, boom, bam. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With the $10 super sticker. 37 awesome people out there. But yes, as far as, wow, why does that look so bad? Pontoon Jody's out there. How's it going? Jody caught a beautiful big fish. Definitely looked closer to 60 than it did 55, but caught a big blue cat the other night on the Pontoon Jody Flathead Challenge. Suspense Stance says stopping in quick but at work. Bugman asking if Jody's still out on the water. Oh, let's see. There it was. Yes, yes, there definitely will be this week. Next week, I don't know yet, but we'll have to see. Already fixing to throw lines in at Chattanooga. Boom, boom, bam, Freddie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Beck crew loves our stands, fam. Well, thank you. Feelings mutual. Much love going out there to Freddie, Nina, and the whole family. Martin S., new member. Boom, boom, bam. Thank you very much. Definitely appreciate that. 37 awesome people out there watching. Jody's saying she's not sure. Just marked crap load of cats. Well, if you're out there, Jody, sometimes no time better than the present to go live. So yes, y'all definitely check out Freddie's Outdoor Adventures, Nina's Kayak Crew. Freddie and Nina making the trip up here to Virginia again next week. Going to be at the dock with Chris and Telly. That's right, Martin. Welcome, welcome to the family. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's so on Muskrat Adventures. That's not happening this week. That's getting postponed. Let's see. I think the itty bitty kitty tournament, is that this weekend on Avids? And then next week, October 7th and 8th, you have the Cat Con in Kansas City. That's next Friday and Saturday. Palmetto Cats, Kevin's out there watching from the garage, ringing up. All right, Kevin, thank you for coming in. Lance and Judy talking about some fishing in Hawaii. Wow, that is something. Martin S. from UK saying you're coming to CatCon in February. Catfishconference.com. The link is out in the description. That's where to get information on that. The dates are definitely already booked for next month. For the Louisville one, February 24th and 25th. There's Buck Williams out there. Yeah, I hear you, Rhonda. Luther, yeah, it's raining. We needed it here. Maybe not so much at one time, but it'll definitely help with the bite around here for sure, without a doubt. Because our primary fish is blue cats, primary catfish blue cats, and they love the current. So with the way that it's been down, it's been a tough bite. But Luther Harlow out there fishes the James River here, catches some beautiful fish out there. There we go. That is awesome, Martin. Can't wait. Can't wait to meet you there next February. There is the link again in case anybody wants to come up, anything they want to talk about. Hey, Buck, great to see you. We got 45 awesome people out there. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I love hearing the names of, you see Lance and Judy talking. Love hearing the names. A real good spot is Nenakulai, across from the power plant. Go early morning. Well, here we go. Boom, boom, bam. How's it going, Kevin?
Good, good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. So how is the storm through there yet, or approaching, or?
I just got another warning on my phone, but I think it's pretty much done here. We didn't get any damage, thankfully. We were blessed and got a lot of rain, but no flooding in my neighborhood. I hadn't been out. I don't like to go out on the roads because people. That's what people like to do. They like to go out and
Oh
survey.
yeah.
I'm not the surveying type now. What I probably should have done is went over and checked my boat, but I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, we are supposed to get. We're supposed to get a lot of rain here, but Virginia, Richmond is so far. We're a couple hours inland, and so far up the coast that, if anything, we'll get a little bit of rain and some flooding in the low-lying areas. But
Right.
it's actually a good thing around here. We need the James. The water's been way low. This extra rain will get the water moving again a little bit, so I'm actually looking forward to it. So we got Sean White out there. Oh, what a life. How are you? I don't know if you saw that, but Martin S. from the UK already booked for Louisville next year, CatCon.
Yeah, I heard that.
And here is Dustin popping up.
Good evening.
What's up, Dustin?
How you doing, Kevin?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Stan seemed kind of lonely, so I figured I'd pop in, but you beat me to it.
But, that's the Friday night. We're doing some talking. There's maybe some other things planned for the future here on Fridays, but Rhonda's saying she is over the rain, but it seems Mother Nature has other plans.
Hey, Martin.
So, Kevin, you said you're getting all rigged up.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go in the morning and catch some bait, and then I'm going to go to my mom's house. She says she has a lot of, twigs and branches and stuff in her yard, so I'm going to go help her clean that up after I get bait. And then I think I'm going to might try to live stream tomorrow night. Try to go live streaming, light up the rods a little bit. So we'll see.
Awesome. And you've been doing a great job of exploring some different waters and doing some new tactics.
Yeah, I'll probably, because the places I've been going, I haven't gotten any big fish, like during the daytime. So I might, it might just be the normal spots on the live stream, but still get out there. And I already got a video ready for Sunday, so I don't really have any pressure to make one. Video drop on Tuesday, and it'll have sharks in it.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can keep the sharks.
Well, I wasn't planning on catching them. We went so far down in the brackish water that they were there. We fished by some crab pots, and I guess they were chumming the water, so the sharks showed up.
Yes, they
were fun, but we weren't prepared for shark fishing, so they kept biting us off. So we decided to leave.
Yeah, I've had even 100-pound leader, and I've had even small sharks will just fight that right off if they get the chance to.
Yeah, we hooked up on 3, and we ended up getting 2 bull sharks to the boat. One of them got in the boat, and one of them, when I went to go get the net, bit off the leader.
Stephen Jacob, how you doing, JBT?
That was a pretty loud rattle right there.
That was the small one.
Yeah.
That's the brute.
That big one is huge.
Yeah, and I don't know which one's the shark's bid on or whatever, but I was like, well, I got some time. I'll just go ahead and re-rig all of them.
Yes. Now, if you are fishing in the areas where you're using that bigger baits, you know that the bigger demon dragon, the bigger spooks there do a great job of keeping it up off the bottom.
Yeah,
Hey, CBAs.
those brutes are crazy, man. They even the sharks like them.
Well, and you know whether we can agree upon or you know, because some people will say, oh, the rattles attract or the extra sight attracts. In my opinion, whether that does or not, the big purpose of the spook is to lift that bait just up off the bottom enough that it puts it right in that fish's strike zone. They don't have to do all kinds of crazy acrobatics to get down off the bottom and get the bait up off the bottom. It's right up in the strike zone. It helps dispense the scent better. It's easier for them to come hit the bait. So that's my opinion. Now, you know, do the rattles and stuff.
It replaces the float. I mean, that's all it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of a combination thing. You know, you're buying an all-in-one as opposed to float and rattle separately.
Yep.
So, I mean, I got a couple of floats, or I got a couple of the spooks, and I hadn't replaced one of my peg floats with the Versa rattles on it, and I had all six, or I think I had 3 or 4 lines out, and every time I got hit, it was on the peg float with the Versa rattle. They wouldn't hit the spook. So I don't know if it had anything to do with it. No.
Yeah, the one I just rigged prior to this, I don't have a demon dragon on it. I don't even have a float on it. I just put, it's a Carolina rig, and I put two rattles, Versa rattles on it just because I got them. And
Right.
I don't think having it on there discourages fish from hitting it. So.
And fishing for whiskers, Ron just said it right there. Does not matter what the reason is. If it works, don't fix it.
True that. True that.
Absolutely. How you doing, Mr. Duggar Fishing?
Mr. Duggar Fishing. Good to see you in the house.
That's a small mine right there. Oh, nope. I messed up on that one. Got to talking to you guys and messed up. What I do like to do, though, and I was going to make a video. I mean, there's videos out there, but I haven't seen too many of them. On these bigger floats, you do bigger baits, right? And so bigger baits tend to spin more in the current, right? Or that's what people say. And I've seen it. I'll bring up my bigger bait that's been spinning in the current, and it's all twisted up. And if you're running big leader, like 80-pound leader, then it's going to coil up. And so what I do now is I put these chain swivels in between the main line and in between. I run 2 leaders basically. So I'll run a leader from the swivel to the chain swivel in between it, and the chain swivel down to the demon dragon. And that way, it's the chain swivel has more points to twist on it. So people have been using chain swivels forever. I'm not doing anything special. You know, the use of them isn't special. Just the fact that I'm using it now, and I never used to.
We use inline trolling sinker here for shad fishing. Our hickory shad in the springtime, kind of like everybody else does the skipjack. We don't have them here, so we have the hickory shad that make that run. And we use maybe 3/4 ounce or so inline trolling sinkers, and it has the beaded chain swivel attached to it. So you get both dual purpose there. You get the weight along with the chain swivel, and that worked really good.
I've been using lighter leaders for the for the lake. But now I'm fishing the river a lot, or at least until February. I'm gonna fish the river until February. I'm having to change leaders like every time I come home, so I upgraded to 80-pound leaders, so I didn't have to change them so much. I downgraded to 60 for the lake, so that I could use a heavy braid and pop it off. But I think that
we use 80-pound leaders here too, because
Yeah.
you know I'd rather than a 50
and that's
or
something
60.
that I learned late. You know, it took me. I'm on my 3rd year of YouTube now, and with YouTube came the trophy catfishing, chasing those things, and I always thought you used the heaviest leader you could find all the time, and that's not the case. You know, when you're dragging baits, you're not going to encounter as well here anyway. You're not going to encounter as much debris, so you don't have to worry about your leader being chafed up so much. And if you're dragging baits and you have a lot of line out, which you usually do here, if you have a heavier leader than you have main line, you're going to pop your main line first, and you're leaving tons of mono in the water. So I started using 50 or 60-pound leader dragging baits with heavier braid, and then in the river, I do the opposite. I use heavy leader and a lighter main line, mono main line instead of braid.
Yeah, there's the whole 2 families of thought with that.
That's what I started using now. I like the 25-pound test. It doesn't come in a 30, but I like the 25 because I don't know, it feels better on the fish. It feels like you're fighting more of the fish. Not Frederick.
What's up, Freddie?
What's going on, fellas?
Freddie, what's up? What's up?
I heard there was a stand day going on, so I figured I'd jump in and see what's happening.
Now,
Yeah, I
Dustin,
use,
what size leaders do you use here in the James?
I use 80-pound. I tried heavier, and I'm not as sophisticated as y'all are. I don't think about it as much as you do. Although we probably will at some point because we're still new. I just don't use heavier leader line because it's harder to tie.
But your knots stick better.
It's hard to keep those.
I find that my knots hold on a lot easier with the heavier line. It's hard. You're right. It's harder to tie, but I got this Andy. The label's broken on it, but Andy monofilament Sea Striker. It's thick. It actually glows in the black light blue. It's crazy.
Roger said Cast King 80-pound ties great. Yeah. You know, there's the whole 2 families of thought. Go ahead, Dustin.
Go ahead. No, I just get the,
I was just gonna say
leader line, the actual leader line at the bait shop.
Yeah, I just use good old 80-pound Omniflex Zebco from Walmart.
Oh wow, yeah. It refracts the
We
light.
use, yeah.
Yeah.
When you first put it out, it does have quite a bit of memory, but you know, fishing in the current, that usually takes care of that. Whoa!
It's got a lot of glow to it.
Look at that.
I love it.
You can see where that chain.
Black lights.
That's where the chain.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh wow.
Fishing with JBT says if Steve Douglas uses Omniflex, I think it'll be good enough for anyone.
Hey Don, how you
And
doing?
hey, that's right. And that brings up a good point, JBT. Whatever works for you is going to be the best thing that you can use because you're going to have more confidence in it. And if you want to try something else out, if you want to go to actual leader line and try it and see what the difference is and see what the pros and cons are. Kevin, where there's a great place to do that kind of stuff and see a bunch of different equipment and actually get stuff in all kinds of different stuff in your hands so you can actually see the difference between those things?
Walmart.
Well, Walmart's one of the places. But another one. But for catfish specific, you're not going to find more items in one single place than you will at CatCon. October 7th and 8th in Kansas City next week.
Oh my God,
February 24th and 25th next year in Louisville. Can't wait.
I'll say this. There's two different, what I've seen, what I've learned. And again, I haven't been around as long as some of these older people or some of the younger people that have been around longer than me. So it's just my uneducated opinion. But what I've seen is there's two types of people. There's your gear nuts, and then there's your old schoolers, like your minimalists. And there's nothing wrong with either one. I think you can go too far with both. You can be such a minimalist that you just get caught in a corner and you never, go any farther. And then you can be such a gear nut that you put all your confidence in gear and forget and don't concentrate on catching fish. So I think that a little bit of both, but I would consider myself a gear nut. Like I love trying out new things and, new colors and all kinds of stuff. That's just me.
Jacob is saying that Freddie, the Illinois deer season starts tomorrow. But yeah, and I was pretty much, Kevin, I was strictly old school until I kind of got with catfishing. Well, no, Freddie's not a gear nut at all.
He's not a gear nut. Not at all.
Yeah, he only invented his own rod.
Yeah.
If you go as far as to put out your own rod, you're either a businessman or a gear nut. Rarely both.
Well, Kevin, let me show you something else that I'm working on now.
Hold on.
What's that? A planter board?
A planter board.
Nice.
I actually got two different designs I'm actually going to be testing next week. I got like a shorter foam and a longer foam that we'll be testing next week.
The ones that I've been wanting to try, and I know that's awesome, dude. And I won't ever buy a planter board as long as I got the ones that Uncle Lou's gave me. They work awesome. But if I were to try another one right now, I would try the Parks planter boards. Those big fat ones. Those things look indestructible.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm here. Here's where we differ. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum here. These are the ones I use currently. If you look how small these things are, these are actually crappy planter boards.
Yeah, I found one of those in the lake.
Wait a minute.
I've got 4 sets of those. And those
Hold
are
on.
Crappy gear.
Hold on. There's nothing wrong with those planer boards. They are not crappy.
But yeah, I pull those because I'm usually pulling. I only drag with an ounce, usually an ounce weight when I pull them because I'm pulling in the lake. So you don't really need a lot of weight in the lake when you're dragging for the most part. But yeah, if you look, that's what I'm using now. The ones I'm making are about double the size. But these are still about half the size of your Uncle Lou's and stuff, so I can still consider them like a medium to a small. So, but yeah, we're playing around with that, see how that works. What you were talking about this, Kevin?
boom, boom, bam. Painting services by Steve. Thank you, my friend. Mountain Dew fun. Thank you.
Around so you can see it. There we go. Yeah, so I guess I am a gear nut because
What's that, ugly stick?
Yeah.
I'm just picking. Hey, that's a good compliment.
It is.
That's right.
It's literally, if I have one of my ugly sticks, it's the same thickness as far as thickness. It's a thinner rod, like your ugly stick.
I can tell you the difference between the two because, as you know, we have a lot of experience with ugly stick rods, especially the ugly stick catfish rods. That's kind of where we started on YouTube, and that was our bread and butter and catching plenty of 20s, 30s, 40s. The big difference is the ugly stick catfish rod, even in the longer version, is rated to 3 ounces. Freddie, what is that? They're rated to 8.
Yeah, they're rated to 8 ounces. So
your rod 8, right?
Yeah, they're both the 5 foot and 6 foot are rated to 8 ounces, and whenever you get a rating on a rod, that's casting weight. That's not necessarily the max of the hole, but that's for casting. That includes your leader line, your weight, your bait, all on there together. So it's rated for 8 ounces to cast, and it like any of your other bigger rods, it'll cast the full 8 ounces. But the biggest thing I've been impressed with them is one of my testers was suspending with 35 ounces with these things, and they were just as strong as the big rods, and they held up a whole lot better than we thought they were with that much weight on them. So it surprised me, to be honest, to have 35 ounces spinning on the side of a boat, and it had a slight bend to it. Typically rods just like that, and you get the max weight, but it looked like it might have had a 5-pound catfish on it with the bend in it, and that was it. So
that's awesome, dude.
And there you go. Yeah, I mean, you've seen what Stand 3, what I have done has caught some monsters, been a bunch of other fish caught. Of course, I think I caught mine after the live. I don't think I was live when Dustin was there. But anyways, Laura's right there. I have put 8 ounces on my ugly stick, but it sure wasn't easy to cast. And that's the big difference. If you're only going out fishing every once in a while and it's the ugly stick catfish rod or the Berkeley big game or whatever the Bass Pro, the lower model Bass Pro, the affordable rod is there, you can catch monster catfish on it. You'll be able to cast, the weights you need to. However,
you mean one of
there you go, the Shakespeare Tiger.
I don't know. I never put 8 ounce on my ugly stick. It'd break it.
Oh, you could do it because we were doing it here. We were using the heavy weights, but you have to learn a whole new.
On it.
You need to develop a whole. There's no snap casting it. You kind of got to lob it. You got to learn how to use leverage with it. You can't let the rod do all the lifting of the weight and casting of the weight.
Yeah, and
that's what we were.
Even with your bigger rods, like your Mad Catch, your Uncle Lou's, your Tangle Cat, all these big names that have that 8 to 10 ounce rating. They're a little bit longer, so you can heave them a little bit easier. So something that you're putting heavier weight on, like an ugly stick or the FOA rods, you got to kind of rainbow throw it in that rainbow arch instead of that straight chunky cast. And
butterfly.
Yeah, but with my rod, even my ugly stick, when I cast them, I cast it with those with that rainbow arch and let it go about 3/4 of the way through the cast. And they'll cast just as far as the other rods. You just have to learn how to cast them. That's all it is.
Yep.
There's Anna.
There's Anna.
Oh, live? Oh.
She's making hot sauce.
Hello, Anna.
Yeah, I've been doing
I'm glad she didn't come out here naked.
Woo! Hot sauce and all kinds of stuff. Y'all have fun.
That was
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Anna.
And JBT had asked the question, was there any difference in my 5 and 6 foot? There was absolutely no difference in between the 5 and 6 foot FOA rods other than that 1 foot. They have the same strength, they have the same weight, they can use the same line. It's a foot shorter. Some people have preferred the 5 foot, some have preferred the 6 foot. You know, it's a give and take.
And Freddie, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but basically that was the two sizes that you came up with to try to, you know, that's why you had people testing them. You were going to go with one or the other, but it seemed like some people liked the 5 a little better, some people like the 6 a little better. They both are great for, you know, Stan 3 was casting with them and casting just as far as he did with the other rods because he was, you know, we were casting, I think, 6-ounce sinkers and some chunks of Chad. Chunks of Chad.
Chad.
Chunks of Chad.
Chunks of Chad. Is that a new bait?
Jody, the 5 foot has 7 eyes and the 6 foot has 8 eyes. So there's only 1 eye difference between the two. The eyes are spread out a little bit further in between the two.
Hey, there's Josh from Carp and Catfish Baits Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. How's it going? He just had a big giveaway recently, so congrats.
Well, not really. If you read the slogan,
it's
not the size
Hold
of
on.
the rod. It's how you use it. And I got to thank Stan 3 for that slogan, you know, because it works. Now, Kevin, on the other hand, I've been really impressed with these rods. Have you been using lately?
What's that?
Those rods that you've been using really the last couple of trips, I've been really impressed with those. Watching what you've been doing with those.
Me too. Like, I don't know that I wasn't really into them. I had one sitting in my garage for a long time, and then started talking with Anvil about a possible like collaboration, you know, deal, and then I started using them. And once I got the medium heavies in, I fell in love with them because all I had was the heavies. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the heavies, they're not a bad rod. It's just unless you're fishing super heavy current all the time, you know, it's a heavy rod.
Yep.
But these, yeah, I like them a lot.
Nice.
And they,
see, folks, we don't discriminate about each rod, you know. I want to support every rod company out there just because, you know, whether you don't pick my rod or a Mad Catz or an Anvil or an Ugly Stick, you know, us manufacturers need to come together and not bash each other, you know, because we're out there to provide to the community. That's what we should be doing. So whether you buy my rod or buy somebody else's rod, we want to support each other.
Yeah.
That's why I brought that up, Kevin, and I was really impressed with them.
Yeah, and not to sound weird or anything, but I mean, if I could care less if you buy an Anvil rod, but I just like the fact that number one, you know, I found a rod that I really enjoy, and I love matching. So I have
3 is like that with that.
They're kind of green, and I like green, and but no, Paul's a good guy, and he just texted me the other day and said that his order should be shipped. Fine, they're finished manufacturing. They should be shipped within a week, and that was a week and a half ago. And then he's got an S. So he's had the graphite. All these are graphite. He's had those, but he's been waiting on the S glass. And so as soon as they get in, he'll have graphite and S glass rods. They only come in two actions: medium, heavy, and heavy. And they have a core candle one and a camo handle.
Well,
but he said as soon as they get in, he's going to hand deliver some rods. So that's going to be pretty cool.
That will be great. Well, I'll be making any 10-foot rods. Not at this time. We're starting small. You know, a startup business is really expensive. Let me tell you, if you haven't thought about it, it's really expensive. But our thought was, you know, like Stan has put in a couple of videos and all my other testers have said something about them. These were designed. My biggest thought was whenever I went to CatCon this past February, seeing all the kids and all the youth and the shorter stature lady anglers and things like that wanting, those long handles for them is kind of tough to deal with sometimes.
And let's not forget hooks. Let's not forget hooks. He needs
Oh yeah,
that shorter rod also.
Just some hooks and hammocks. He is like 5 foot tall, so we had to try to design something around him. And then so that was the primary with the youth. And then we kind of took a step back and it's like, well, your kayak anglers, they've got multiple different rod holder styles that'll fit on a kayak, and a lot of these kayak guys, they take these 12, 14-inch long handles, trying to get them out of those rod holders, sitting in a kayak, it's tough. So that's where the shorter handle design came in. And, I'm really impressed with what they've come out. I'm actually still awestruck of how well they were made and how the design actually came out. And we're excited to get them in. We're estimated from the manufacturer, talked to them Wednesday. Yeah. And they should be shipping them out like the first part of November. So we should be getting them in mid to late November. So hopefully we'll have them in time. Perfect timing. You got holiday season coming up. So it's great for me as a businessman having them in stock. But with that being said, we kind of got an idea when they're coming in. So sometime this month, probably mid to late October, we decided we will do a pre-sale like your big companies. What it does is it gives us capital to go ahead and do a reorder now instead of getting in and running out so quick and not having another batch on the order. So we're gonna at some point put out a pre-sale video and give the details on how you can pre-order your rods if you wanted to order some at that time. So again, we're excited, and you see, I'm not stopping there. I'm working on planer boards now, just something smaller. And the thought behind the planer boards is I've got 2 local bait shops that have my wood burnings in them already, and they've got a lot of guys that want the smaller planer boards, and it's hard for them to get the smaller ones in stock. So I figured, why not? Let me dip my hands in that, see if I can make some. If I can make them in house, I can make them a lot cheaper than having them get them shipped from these bigger companies. Maybe make a couple dollars and provide another product out there. So.
And Goober Time TV said kayak fishing. Sounds fun. Yeah, I think Dan's done a little bit of kayak fishing in his time.
Maybe a little.
Let's see. Jacob says to ask Kevin when's the Monster Hunt Catfish tournament that Kevin is hosting.
October 29th.
There you go.
And I don't know, someone may be fishing in that. I don't know who it is, but
Something wrong with your hand,
And some other big dummy missed it.
It's going to be exciting. There are some, there's some big names fishing in this monster hunt this year.
Yeah, and Jody caught a 60-pounder today or yesterday.
Yeah, there might be some people in chat.
So
last night, yeah.
She can catch a.
Yeah, she caught that 55 on her show last night. That thing. Whew.
This is the time of year where they're starting to feed up. The bigger ones are starting to, the extreme heat, the water temperatures are coming down a little bit. So they know, also, obviously the days are getting shorter. Bite windows are getting a little different. So those bigger fish know that it's getting to that time of year where they start doing their feeding.
Dan, Goober TV is in it too.
Yep,
I can't see that, so I know Jody was in here. She's in it. Dan, Epic Catfish. You got Jimmy from Fishing and Gear, Jeremy's Tournament Cats.
Hey, Stonefly. I'll be right back real quick.
Whoop. I still use the little Demon Dragons too. That's the race car one right there, the little fast one.
I like that color too on that one.
Yeah. And again, you have to be a gear person, but they got all kinds of different ones. They got the Mortys, and they got the Whisker Chicks edition. They even have these ones. These Catfish Posse ones. They light up when they're submerged. got
Wow.
Catfish Bill 66. There's one of them. Muddy River. All kinds of different colors and combinations. And that's for the
Do
fishermen.
you, I was gonna say, do you pick
Light
specific
up
colors? Do you
ones
think they
are
do something
great,
for you? Or
right,
you just,
Stan?
What's that, Dustin?
I was asking if you pick specific colors, or you just randomly pick them and put them on your line.
Well, mostly I
You
use the
prefer-
brutes now. Mostly I use the brutes.
Hello.
But you know, no, I don't really. I like the odd ones that nobody else likes. You know, they have that. When Jeremy from Tackle Bandit said, from Demon Dragon said, "Hey, which ones do you want?" I said, "Send me the ones that are hard to sell." And apparently, this one is hard to sell. So,
Wow.
Huh. Well, I can tell you my opinion on that. If you look at a lot of the waters that we fish, most of us aren't fishing in clear catfish water. So light penetration, you need light penetration for color detection. I'm just saying, there you go.
You mean
Y'all
like
remember what Stand 3 did with that one? I think it was, what, 63 pounds?
63 on this, but we love these things, especially in dark waters.
With the glow. So that puts the light in there, so then color might make a difference. Hey, we've got, speaking of CatCon, Steve Douglas with us out there again tonight. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you coming in. We're doing the same thing. We normally talking catfish and anything related to catfish.
just not
Answering
actually.
questions.
So yeah, I kind of bummed out that I'm actually not going to make the Kansas City. Kind of wanted to, but then we had other plans that were made prior to the actual dates coming out. So I think being on Kerr and Gaston will have to work for me this time, but we will definitely be in Louisville in February because, like I said, if everything works out right, I'll be getting with Herbie and Steve about getting a booth for FOA Customs and Gear since we got our own rods. So that'll be hoping we'll have enough rods in stock where we can actually have a booth. And Stan fell out on us. But those that have just joined us and haven't heard, CatCon Kansas City is October 7th and 8th, next Friday and Saturday. If you're in the area, don't have plans, get out there and check it out. It's one of the best things out there. These CatCons are amazing. And I'm sure you'll see, if you do get to go, you'll see one of the people on panel there, most likely two of them when he comes back. But Kevin from Palmetto Cats will definitely be there, along with two Stans are supposed to be there. Dustin, I don't think you're going to make it either, are you?
Nope, not Kansas City.
Not Kansas City. But again, if y'all haven't heard about it, look it up, catfishconference.com, or go check out their Facebook page. All the details are there.
We also went live on the Catfish Conference YouTube page last night and talked about it. They can go check out that video.
Oh, yes. There was a great video from last night. I enjoyed watching. I got to watch part of it before our show hit up. But, yeah, it was a bunch of great information, especially gave out the speakers and things like that. If nothing else, if you don't plan on buying anything, but you're in that area and want to get some information, you've got some great anglers. They're going to be there to do these seminars and teach you tips, tricks, techniques that you would have never even thought about. Trust me, I know. I learned a lot of stuff this past February.
Yeah, Sean and I are trying to get everything squared away so we can go to February in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely be there in February. I've already got plans, kind of even got it on the calendar, booked that whole couple days before, couple days after, got it blocked out of the calendar to make sure the wife don't even schedule work so she can come to me next time. But this Kansas City one's going to be a lot bigger than it was last year. It's looking a lot bigger. You got more vendors.
Well, we can't talk about catfish without Oh,
A black screen?
it's a surprise. It's a surprise. I lost internet. I am back. Epic was sitting there waiting. There he is.
So,
Hey, good evening.
Hey,
Damn.
hey, everybody.
what's up, Timothy Catfish?
Well, you know, getting all excited about CatCon, of course.
Dude, when I saw that you were coming, I got so stoked. I was like, man, there it is right there. That's gonna make the whole trip.
We're definitely gonna do some interesting things. I'm gonna talk about stuff I've probably never talked about before at CatCon. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh, come on, Tim. Don't rub it in even more. I'm already bummed I wasn't coming. Then I found out you were going to be speaking, made it even worse. Now you're telling me you're going to give me there's new information you're going to put out. I'm really, really bummed.
Information. And, you know, I think the second day I'm going to do Professor Catfish stuff.
Yeah.
That's my tentative plan. I'm going to take about 100 questions from the crowd, and hopefully we got somebody with a microphone so people can hear it on the thing, you know. And I think that's the last day. But the first day, I think I'm going to talk about staying in the giant catfish zone. No matter where you fish, no matter what lake, river, reservoir, whatever, it's just basically keeping that giant catfish mindset and persevering until you get that thing figured out. And we'll talk some biology the first day, but the second day, I think that's probably going to be, so there'll be less props. So I still might cast stuff into the crowd or whatnot, but you know, I'm thinking that's what I want to do. Oh, Jody's got a fish on.
And Jody comes up and has a fish on.
I think we may be putting a fish up on Friday night.
Well, Stan, you're definitely going to have to take notes, at least on day 2, with all these secret tips and tricks that Epic's going to be putting out. So I need my notebook back from me after you get back.
I got you, Freddie. I got you. So great to have everybody in. We watching Jody with another. That looks like a nice fish.
Yeah, it's got some nice bend in that rod for sure.
Go Jody. Go Jody.
38 thumbs up.
Well, thank you, Roger. It's I'm going to try to keep it exciting, but I don't think I'm going to do just like a total tutorial like I did last time. I really want to get people's feedback, and I really want to get some questions. And you know, of course, we'll be talking about donkey baits and giant hooks and huge rods and all that crazy stuff that we do. But we'll also be covering a lot of things. You know, like, you know, anybody wants to be successful in
Tim,
any kind of water, from little rivers to small ponds to big lakes to everything.
G-Style, I saw your question before. We'll get back to that in just a few minutes about what to do differently for if you're going to use your boat in the wintertime. We'll get back to that. But you've been live on these shows before. We've been up talking all night with me and Roger and Priya and everybody, and it is just amazing when you get the questions. You know, a lot of times you can't even anticipate what the question is going to be. And, you know, it's from people that are out there experiencing that at that time. And it really does. It's really a lot of fun being part of those questions and answering them, and just the thought process with it.
This looks like it might be a nice fish. She's struggling here.
Use the skills you learned last night, Jody.
Well, Stan, you had it exactly right. A guy can get out there and do a dissertation or do what's most important in their mind. But really, I think it's kind of good
Right.
when people out of the crowd want to know what they have questions for.
Tim, what's the question you think you're going to get first?
Well, I'm not sure. I've fielded hundreds of thousands of questions over 30 years. But generally speaking, if it was a crowd that wasn't like, let's just say they were more beginners, I would get, well, where to go, what bait, what's your hooks, what's your rods, what's all that stuff. That's usually beginner questions. But what we have at CatCon is far above the average beginner. So they're going to ask questions that are going to be unique, and they're going to ask questions that are going to be really fun in a catfish physiology, biology, behavior sort of thing, and I got to experience that at the last couple of CatCons where there were some really good quality questions. Which, I mean, any question is quality, it just
Sure.
depends. But with the amount of YouTubers and guys that have been now catfishing for quite a while, I mean, even some guys that are 20, 25-year veterans, they'll ask some really interesting questions. I mean, look at Roger. I mean, if Roger was there, I'm sure he'd have some good questions. I mean, shoot, I had good questions from Stan and, Fishing in Freedom and Snake River and all that. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to not just be able to answer the questions, but get on their water with them and just try to dream about what exactly I would do if I was there.
And that's the thing that we say a lot, Tim, is that we know that there's people from across the country, everything from big rivers to small creeks to lakes to whatever, ponds even, fishing for channel cats in some ponds. And
Nice, Jody.
so what's happening in their waters, you take what you hear up here. Nice fish, Jody.
Nice fish, Jody. I don't think we can hear you, but nice fish anyway.
That's a beauty, Jody. Good, solid future monster.
That's right.
And Stan, once blues, Stan and Freddie and everybody else, that's listening, once blues get that big, that's when they really start putting it on. Little bitty ones, it takes them a little while because they just can't eat enough because, they can only eat smaller things. So they really got to go after it. But once they get about the size that Jody just showed, that's when they can consume bigger fish. And it would, I think it might surprise people how big of a fish or how big of a crab or how big of a giant bait fish, if it's not on the end of a line that they can actually eat. It's pretty crazy.
That was going to be my question. Is it because at that point then they can start taking on some of those bigger baits, their bigger food sources?
Yep. And it's all about expenditure of energy versus caloric intake, and that they can dominate areas and not have to worry about other fish pushing them around. And if you think about that, that's one of the most interesting things, because once they get through what I would call, it's kind of like it's almost like being a teenager. Okay, so that catfish is like the upper end of a teenager, and now he doesn't have to worry about getting bullied by other fish. He's not so concerned about getting too crowded, and now all of a sudden that size fish has got a little bit more moxie, and he or she can start dominating areas and start consuming things at will. So, and we always say this, big fish eat on their time schedule. Little fish eat all the time because they have to. They absolutely have to. So, if you got your hot dogs, and you got your livers, and you got your, chicken or whatever, and if you're dealing with a massive amount of fish on a body of water such as the Potomac or such as the James or whatever, in those interim areas, the flats, maybe the little channel ledge, that's a little shallower and it's got a little less current or whatever. They are there because, one, it provides protection, because the giant fish, they don't care about that on a normal basis. So you'll find those fish that are 5, 10, 15 pounds in those areas that aren't really that advantageous for them, but yet they make up for it with their exuberance. So they're running around and they're hitting this, they're hitting that. I mean, a small blue or a small channel cat or a small flathead will eat all kinds of things. I mean, they'll eat shad and shrimp and minnows and they'd eat a freaking marshmallow if you threw it in the right spot. But once they get past that point of adult, they can do that. They can figure out that they can eat what they want at will, and they don't have to fight as much either. Because I mean, by the time that fish gets the size of Jody's, he's not getting picked on much, except for who's making all the noise? Probably me.
No, it was Kevin's getting all rigged up.
That's me, but I'm finished now.
I was checking to see if it was my because I had lost my internet before, but I'm good now.
Of course, I'm in the kitchen, and my wife is canning potatoes as we speak.
And you were bringing up those other baits, and you're going to hear, well, I caught a 70-pound whatever. Now, do you think that those baits, in the situations where there's not as much natural food or there's more competition for natural food, where those baits may work better in those situations, and that may be where you hear a lot of that kind of stuff happening?
And remember the first rule of Catfish Club is location, location, location. So if you so happen to be fishing 3 foot of water off the shore with marshmallows, and maybe you took your hook and you put marshmallow and then a hot dog and then a shrimp and then a whatever, and you threw it right in front or in the vicinity of a big fish, he may decide, hey, why not? It's like me eating jelly beans. I don't even like jelly beans, but if you bring me a jelly bean and throw it on my table, I might just eat it.
Great point.
But I'm not getting up off the couch to go get a jelly bean, if you get what I mean. And I'm not saying there's like super preference, but day in, day out, you can see a preference in the fish according to location, according to what they're used to. So, in the Mississippi where I'm at, it's, pretty much moon eye. I mean, if you got, that's kind of the golden bait. Now, if you can't get moon eye, suckers and shad and chubs and everything else work, but you got to be putting it in their face. If you're not putting it in their face, don't expect a whole lot. Like I would not go to Donkey Waters and throw hot dogs and have very much. I might catch a 70 on hot dogs, but I'm not going to throw there because I might as well go to the park pond. If you get what I'm saying. There are certain store-bought baits that have performed really well in my life. I can't get them anymore. I used to get these squid. They're about that long and about that big around. And of course, average people call them calamari. But I did really well on those squid. They have a certain texture, a certain whatever, but I just haven't been able to convince anybody else on YouTube to even use them. I haven't seen anybody use squid. But I'm telling you, I did. Oh, Freddie, how'd you do on the squid?
I took it to one of the local lakes, and I gotta say, I think we caught 14 fish that day, all of them were 10 to 15 pounds, no huge ones because we just weren't marking any big ones. But
Sure.
I think we caught 14 fish and we only fished for, I think, 3 hours
Nice.
in an area that I usually use chicken or cut brim and did okay. I usually catch 4 to 5 fish in that area, but double, almost tripling my normal productivity with squid. But that's the biggest part. Trying to find it is the hard part.
Yes, and one thing about squid, more than other baits that I've used that are store-bought baits or anything else, such as hot dogs, such as whatever, squid seems to scientifically have a lot of what I would want to call amino acid, what's called a fluff. Okay, so if you put a bait, you take a hard body bait and you throw it in the water, it's gonna, the slime coat's gonna throw off, the blood's gonna, come out into the water. But for some reason, that squid seems to really, and I know a lot of people talk about oils, and that's important. But squid they don't seem to have oils. But it seems that once you take squid and you throw it in the water, it's still really soft and supple, and it seems to give off a lot of amino acids in the form of proteins, things like that. I mean, I could get real technical, but we don't need to get technical. So when I was throwing squid, that's one thing I noticed. I would use squid on 1 or 2 rods, and I would use chubs. It may be early part of the year, water's still cold. And all of a sudden, I'm bringing my stuff in, and it's like, the chubs and things were, you could tell they were kind of washed out. But the squid seemed to be soft, and you could still smell it really, really well. And as humans, our sense of smell is absolutely terrible compared to fish. It's terrible. So if we can still smell it, it's actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Now, Dustin, right there in Richmond, there is the what is it, green top or whatever it is, that bait shop.
There is a green top, yeah.
When we were up there last time, they had frozen squid up there, and
I think Castaways has it too.
Yeah, big dummy here didn't grab any last time I was up there.
I'll tell you what, I'd use squid in donkey waters if that's what I could get. And that's a 4-hour investment one way. I mean, it's a 4-hour investment, $100 in fuel, and $250 worth of a hotel bill. But I would still feel confident going down to donkey waters and throw. I'd want them big. I wouldn't want them little tiny squid. I want them big giant ones. But I'd throw squid. You darn right I would. Them big blues would snarf those things up. Now, would I pick squid over giant suckers or big carp heads? Probably not, but I'd still throw it. But I wouldn't necessarily throw stuff that I would throw around here. Shad. I wouldn't throw necessarily cut bluegills, even though cut bluegills work at times. Sometimes they do, but it's kind of rare, to have a 70 or an 80, or have back-to-backs on bluegill, because I've tried it many times. But anyway, I'm going to quit grandstanding here.
You already got one believer.
Ernie,
Yeah.
Ernie.
Yeah, Ernie and them guys on Potomac should have been using squid.
Oh, on the Potomac, the squid is going to be killer. You can thank me later, Ernie. Just send me a little heart on the TikTok stuff.
They love the eel out there, but I'm telling you right now, the James as well. The James and the Potomac, you guys definitely should be trying squid. Hands down, I think it'll probably turn some of y'all to y'all's favorite bait, to be honest.
Now, I should say about the squid, you don't want the stuff that's cut into calamari fries. You know what I'm talking about. You want the full squid. You want the tentacles,
the whole thing,
and you want the mantle. Because usually I love the tentacle in the eye, in the eye, especially if it's still got a little ink in it. I really like that.
I think Castaway sells the frozen squid.
Yeah, Castaways. Anybody that fishes the James River here, Castaways Sporting Goods down towards Dutch Gap, right there on Jeff Davis. Check them out. Tell them 2 Stan sent you.
And for those in chat, if you haven't noticed, Tim loves to talk, and all that information we just got is just a smidgen of what you'll get if you go to CatCon in KC. Trust me. If you're able to go, you need to go.
Hey, Freddie, I used to do a weekly national radio show with a guy by the name of Alex Langer. And in like the late 80s, early 90s, he invented the flying lure. Well, he ended up being a nationally syndicated.
Hey, everybody knows Alex Langer here. If you were alive back then, you know Alex Langer. Come on now.
So Alex and I got to be friends because he heard of my ProCats website. He talked. I mean, he would call me because he really wasn't a catfisherman, but he was enthralled by the size of the catfish that I was catching. So he would call and talk to me. He's like, hey, remind me, you have to talk about that on my radio show next week. So we would do that. But anyway, he ended up, his end went down for an entire hour. National radio show, syndicated. It was Pennsylvania. It was all down the East Coast. It was all down the West Coast and some in the middle. And he was surprised that in that entire hour, I never missed a hitch.
Well, you're more than Jody. You're more than welcome. If when you get down there, you want to come back up, we're still here. You're more than welcome to pop back up. So basically, what Tim was saying before, use the baits, the baits that are in the water that fish are feeding on. However, don't be afraid to try something that makes sense during certain times.
Yeah,
there you go.
And Stan, I never met a time that the squid didn't work. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. I'm telling you,
that is great news.
Superlative grocery store bait, if you can get it.
I haven't been out there yet. I haven't been back out since we talked about it, but
yeah,
it is on the list. Believe me.
Yeah. Another good thing about squid is you can refreeze your squid too, and it will actually, I don't know how to say it, it will reinvigorate. Just say you use it, and you use it, and you use it. You can actually put it in a bag, get the fresh, get the fresh squid out, and then use it later. I mean, cut baits will do somewhat the same thing, but something about squid.
That is Caitlin Lunsford out there. That is Tiny Smith's little friend. That's her friend out there. So hello.
That's why she wanted to jump in and say hey.
Hello, Caitlin. How are you?
Hey, Stan, my wife gets at home, so I'm gonna pop out of here.
All right, Dustin, I appreciate
you're popping out. I was just getting ready to be quiet.
Well, you know, I don't talk much, so.
If there was only other people up on panel that would talk. Can you think of any, Freddie? I don't know anybody else that talks.
I don't know anybody else in here that like to talk at all.
I think three out of the four, I would say.
But Dustin, thank you very much.
Good to meet you, Dustin.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, he's Tim. Dustin's on that same James River journey that we've been on.
Oh boy.
Been killing it. This year they've really been doing a great job of getting bait and moving up the food chain. So they're doing a great job out there.
Dustin, enjoy the journey. I told that to Stan when I first met him. I said the James River is one of the rivers across the United States that is a true gem, and there are giants. And the learning curve, because it is a subtle river, because it's not like, there's certain pools on the Mississippi River that I can go to and just say, okay, I'm going to look at the map. I'm going to look at whatever. I'm going to get on the water and go, yep, there's a giant. There's a giant. There's a giant. There's spots that hold giants. The James is much more subtle. And since it's a tidal river that is on the coast, you have weather conditions that are
Oh no!
Whoa! I was
It
happened?
disappeared.
my ears.
So the secret is
Yeah.
you blacked out for a second, Epic. You blacked out. It was perfect.
So the secret is, it's more like fishing a river such as the Ohio River. And you talk to people that fish the Ohio River and they say, oh, it's tough, until they really get a lot of experience on it. And then it's like you already have most of the Rubik's Cube done. Now you just got to flip the last few every single time you go. And so once you, and enjoying the journey part is once, like Stan, once you start saying, okay, we've caught all the teens and the 15s and the 20s that you can shake a stick at, and we're moving to the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And once the 30s, 40s, and 50s start coming, you start putting that in your brain, and you go, okay, it's March 15th, blah blah blah. Water conditions are this. I know where I'm going. At March 15th, the water conditions low. I know where I'm going. If it's a full moon and blah blah blah, I know where I'm going. Or you know, you've got to not necessarily pinpoint it, because I mean, even after 35 years of me fishing the Mississippi, I still have to visit a lot of water before I can hit that live button, if you get what I mean.
Right.
Because just because they did it yesterday, or just because they did it on July 4th in 1989, doesn't mean that they're doing it in 2022.
Right.
And it could be only 6 inches of water difference. But the subtlety of the James is probably more pronounced than the Mississippi or the Tennessee or any of that stuff, because you've got a fairly slow flow, but then you've got periods of high flow and then low flow and then static flow.
Right.
So, I mean, luckily I was able to fish the James, years ago when, I didn't have everything figured out, and I was running amok in amazement of, okay, we got flow going this way, then we got flow going this way, then we got static flow, and then we've got sunken ships, and we've got channels, and we've got deep ledges, we've got shallow ledges, we've got high rock banks. I was completely running amok, but with a little bit of success, and we all know what summer doldrums is on the James, where a lot of the part of the country is experience a fantastic bite, the James kind of falls off, and you got to spend time in areas with no bites for an hour, and then all of a sudden, if you're in the right zone, here comes the 50, 60, 70, or 80, and it's just a lone fish. Now, that is not necessarily the truth when you go to a more of a natural river that has constant flow all the time.
Right.
So that is one big difference about the James, which is actually fascinating, because the Potomac is a lot the same way. The one thing about the Potomac is actually at the stage that the James was pre-2005. So the Potomac, although it has some big fish in it, it has such a humongous population that a big fish is 40, 50 pounds right now, that you could expect if you're a monster hunter, if you get what I mean. The James is a little different story.
Right.
It's actually matured a little bit more, and so if you can't, at this point, to fish big fish spots, you're either going to catch big fish or you might not catch anything, if you get what I mean. So one is ahead of it. The Potomac is just now starting to mature, where the James started to mature about 2010, 2011, or thereabout.
And look, and part of that, I think, the food source, eel right now is at all-time high numbers in the Potomac River. Well, what do catfish love to eat? And you see everybody on the Potomac using eel. Well, they have record numbers of eel in the Potomac right now.
Yeah.
What do big blue cats need to get that size. They need a sustainable deep water food source.
Yep.
Eel. James River, we've got the gizzard shad year.
So
Gizzard shad. So
Stan, are you going to Kansas City?
yes.
Okay. So remind me on Sunday when I talk about when we're doing the catfish professor thing. Ask me this question because I may forget, and I don't know if anybody else will ask me. Ask me which high caloric baits are used by catfish at certain times a year, and they actually regurgitate it because it's not beneficial for them to digest the whole thing. So you'll have, and this is what we're going to talk about. They will run amok eating certain bait fish, digest the easy parts, puke the rest, and go back to eating because the high caloric intake, the high fats, the high proteins, everything else involved in the skin, the slime coat, the stomach, the gizzard, especially with gizzard shad, all that stuff, they'll digest that and they'll puke the rest and go back to eating. That I don't know if anybody's ever talked about as far as catcon. So just remind me because I got a whole bunch more that goes with that.
I got you. And I got to say hi to Tiny Smith one more time. You got to do what the granddaughter wants, right? Crappie Day Fish On says all this info. Oh, go ahead, Dustin.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, we've been fishing the James for probably about a year and a half now, so we are still really in the infancy phase of our journey. So
that's awesome.
It's
awesome.
In the spring, we were killing it. Like once Stan showed us how to get shad. I think one night on Jody's tournament, we pulled in over 200 pounds of fish in 4 hours. It was awesome. But as of the summer, and then even up to this point, it's been a tough bite. I mean, no matter where we go, where I think there's gonna be fish, they're not there. And then I turn around and see Green Machine doing a video the very next day where he pulls in like 6 40, 50 pounders. I'm like, I was just there. But
hey Stan, I have a little bit more information on the 3-day bite cycle, by the way. So
really
ask me that on Sunday as well. Because I don't think anybody in the crowd's going to ask me about the 3-day bite cycle on giant.
No, I don't think anybody's going to bring that up. But we've spent many hours talking about that.
Yeah, and I actually do have more information on that that I've never talked about on YouTube that I'll talk about at CatCon.
Well, Epic, I always enjoy listening to you talk. I try to tune in as I can on your channel. But I'm gonna pop out of here. Go see my wife, see how she's doing. So
good to meet you.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Always a pleasure listening to you talk, and I hope to talk to you sometime soon.
Awesome.
Dustin, we'll talk to you soon. I wasn't with Stand 3 this afternoon, so I'll get with you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. All right, Freddie, take it easy.
Thank you. See you later. Yeah, Tim.
Were 3.
Dustin's awesome. He fishes the same, same areas here. I've talked to you with Stand 3 having some issues, whatnot, and when I haven't been able to get out to the water, there's been Dan and Dustin now has been bringing me out there. So
nice.
Just to be part of that same journey, with finding the bait, locating the bait, and just different little, you were saying before about 6 to 8 inches, and I'm like, okay, low tide, almost low tide, whatever. We should be about. It's not in the right spot. That water should be about 8 inches higher. The flow is just not going fast enough. We've got to go someplace else. And, you said that you'll start after just picking it up, watching it. You'll start to, you don't need a the fish finder to tell you how fast you'll be able to see that it's not the right current. And man, you were exactly right.
I remember, Stan, it took me about 10 years because I fished with an old boy on the Mississippi River one time when I was about 19. So we went down to the boat ramp and he said, water ain't right. I said, what do you mean? He goes, water's not right. I said, tell me exactly what you mean. And he couldn't. All he could tell me was the water wasn't right. And
Doesn't look right. Yeah.
No, it just didn't look right. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't wait until I'm experienced enough to know when the water ain't right. Now Freddie left. I think I'm just.
No, I'm still here. I was just taking care of something.
All right.
Let's see. Muskrat put a comment up there. Man, I miss our late night conversations, and boy, it was crazy. Some of the topics, some of the in-depth topics we talked about over the past year and a half or so. There was some nights we'd still be going at 6 o'clock Saturday morning from the Friday night before.
Yeah.
Just talking about little things with catfish. It's crazy. And Roger says, I really miss those late night conversations.
I'm going to try to go out on the porch. If it gets bad, let me know. You know how my signal can do.
Hey, did you hear that we were live the other night and Sean actually came up on a live talk show?
I did not hear that.
Heroes, yeah.
Wow. Really? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was really stoked about it. Of course, he had the same, delayed internet and things like that, but
Oh yeah.
Murillo and I were up Wednesday night. I think Wednesday night, yeah, we were up, Mike Murillo and I, doing a pre-CatCon kind of talk show, and Sean was saying how stoked he was that y'all were coming, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just makes me more bummed that I'm not, Stan. Thanks for bringing it up.
Hey, I'll take plenty of video for you, Freddie. You'll be the first or second person that I send it to.
Sweet.
Freddie, I would say this. I remember the last CatCon, and I really enjoyed talking with you. If y'all haven't joined Freddie or Stan, if you haven't followed them, which I'm sure you have, because that's the only reason why we're all in here. But I certainly enjoyed meeting both of them. It was a big treat for me.
Well, Freddie's link is out in the description out there if anybody hasn't checked out Freddie's Outdoor Adventures. And I think I got Nina's out there too.
You probably do. Well, Tim, I'm hoping that, we'll meet up again in February at CatCon in Louisville.
Well,
if everything works out.
If Steve invites me again, yes.
Because I've
Steve
got
called the
something
other
I need
day.
you to let me know what you think about whenever I get there, because I have these new rods that I made, and I want your thought on them once
All right.
you get to actually see it and hold it.
I will, and believe me, I tell the truth. I will not shade the truth. I may spare people's feelings now and again, but I will say what I think of them. You can count on that.
That's exactly what I want.
Well, we didn't do it on camera, but we were lucky enough, we were blessed enough. Freddie knows that we've got everything from big guys to little guys here, to kayak, to boat, to bank. And we literally twisted the eyes. We took the reels on it, and we're pulling the reels. We, everything you can think of to put a rod through a test.
So you've seen Freddie's rods, and you've beat them up so far. Is that what you're saying?
Well, and we've caught 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, 10s, 5s on them also. So, yeah.
and Freddie, that is one thing that I have to have. if I have a rod, it's got to be near indestructible because I'm really hard on shit. I'm telling you, I've broke rods that aren't supposed to be broken. I have twisted stuff into freaking pretzels. It's not, if you want me to test something, put one of them in my boat and we'll see how that goes. And I'm telling
Well,
you.
we might have to work something out in February.
There you go.
But yeah, no, these rods have been nothing short to me of amazing. Like Stan said, there's been a 0.2 pound channel cat caught on it, all the way up to a 63 pound blue caught on it. And Haz was live last week on his TikTok one day. He caught 9 fish ranging from 3 pounds. I think the biggest was 44. All 9 of those were caught on the Freddie rods.
Nice.
So
And Creo was doing a test in the driveway where how many ounces of lead was he suspending off of the rod?
he was suspending 35 ounces off the back of his boat with my rods, and they weren't bent as far as a big 7-6 foot rod.
And it was, you could tell it was there, but the rod was holding up to it. So
Yeah.
So, Freddie, are you telling me that 65% of the rod is fairly stout and the last bit is nice and soft?
Yep, pretty much. It's they're carbon fiber. Well,
Okay.
no, yeah, carbon fiber composite mix.
Wow.
Well, and here's the thing, Epic. They're a shorter rod. It's 5 foot and 6 foot rods. That's why it's the double Y. It's youth and yak. So that's what he designed. Because there wasn't that high quality rod out there for suspending like in a kayak,
Right.
or using in a kayak, or for the use. If you got to use the rod, a shorter rod, they were getting a Snoopy pole or
I don't know
whatever.
if you can see it, Stan, or if you can blow it up for Tim and show him that. That's it hanging off the back of the boat with 35 ounces.
Very, very reminiscent of my antique surge rods, which I like. I've been looking for a shorter rod to put in as my down rods because, I've had to use surge rods in that down rod position or something like a tow truck rod, and they're not soft enough. If you get on the tip, they're not soft enough on the tip. So if I put one that's got a softer tip, the backbone, there's no control in it, and it bends from the reel on down. And so I'm really looking for a circle hook type rod that's about 6 foot long that, because my other ones are 710s. And 710s, you got to have them so close to the boat. Otherwise, they're way out, and then I worry about, I kind of like it.
And here's another thing.
That's a nice reel seat, too.
Oh, the reel seat is awesome. Like I said, we grabbed on the reel, tried twisting it, tried pulling it, tried
and
moving it.
I got my nuts on the upper end instead of the lower end. They seem to lock in the reel a little bit better to me anyway. But they're stainless eyes, just like the big rods.
Nice.
And
that looks fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Epic, here's every time I'm out in the boat, I now have a Freddie rod as my down rod. That's one of my favorite ways to fish. I've caught more big fish on that down rod. So that's what I use now for that down rod. Perfect. Whether you're in the boat, it was for youth and yak and that kind of thing, but a lot of different uses for that rod.
Now, Stan, here's the biggest question. Have you moved to the Epic Catfish down rod rig?
Are you talking about where there's no like drooper league, it's right to the line?
Yes, sir. With the weight on the bottom.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Without a doubt. Yep. I used to do the dropper loop. Now it's just the weight on the bottom, and
And all it is a no knot snell with the tag end 4 foot long. You put your bait there. That way
yes,
you can lit in current, or even if you're not in current. Weights on the bottom. If you notice fish 2 foot up, you can crank it up. You know it's 4 foot. Let a couple feet down, and it's right in the zone. And all it does is bow the line just a little bit and up, and you'll have it right in the zone. If you tighten it, if they're 4 foot up, you tighten it to 4 foot. If they're right off the bottom, you just let out enough slack that and the bite, the absolute best bite to me is with no weight. It's almost like you're free lining.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awesome.
Epic. I got to be honest on who noticed it. It was Stan 3 that noticed it at CatCon. That was what you did.
Yes, sir.
So that's 8 ounces on it, Tim.
Really?
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
8. There's 16,
Nice.
24, and then back
Nice.
to the 8. So
Nice.
They're stout little rods.
Good, because I do on my down rods, I use anywhere from 24 to 30, well, anywhere from 12 to 36 ounces, depending on what that current's doing and how deep I'm in. You can hold with a big bait and 14 ounces of weight as long as you're 20 foot or less. But, as soon as you go to 35, 40, 45, 50 with monofilament, which I will never use braid again, too many heartbreaks on that. Sean lost his soul. I snapped off one in the barge that was a monster flathead, and we were even filming, and it was so disheartening. I can't use braid again. Stan, what did Susquehanna Stan say?
He says he's got a solid fiberglass snagger rod that's 5 foot long and a heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy, all right. Well, if I used to have those, and I'm telling you what, those blues got to be real aggressive because that tip is so aggressive on a solid fiberglass that, man, it's almost like if you were freelining them with clothesline rope. So there is no give, there is no nothing. So I mean, and blues, which nobody would ever think, but sometimes they're really, really sensitive to the tension on that. They'll suck a bait in and then spit it right back out because there's too much tension.
And Tim, who was the my gosh, I can't think of his name. You've been telling me that it was who you got to fish with, and I went back and watched some of the videos, and this is from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't think.
Chris Harris.
Chris Harris.
Yeah.
Man, and you would think that the information he's given out from back then was today. Yes. Like he was so far ahead of time. It's crazy. The same thing you just.
And I was fortunate to learn some of the things that he was teaching because really it was really kind of groundbreaking, really.
The stuff you were just talking about with the rod, what type of rod to have.
Yeah.
So the big blues, especially for catching those, the same thing with having the backbone the majority of the way up, and then that really sensitive tip, which kind of goes against grain with some things, but more so lately, that's what everybody is kind of gone to, and it's he was just unbelievable the things that I heard him saying, and it's like, wow, it was just awesome.
Some of those things that he was saying, I taught him.
Yeah, well, I know.
But Chris could see the forest for the trees. He really could. And once you got him and I together, just like me and you and a lot of other people on YouTube, but this is talking 20, 25 years ago. It was so groundbreaking because there was no other information. It was, well, if a catfish wants it, he's just going to take her down. Well, that was true when they're active and not necessarily true. And we all know the difference now, but back in those days, it was unheard of. It was almost like blasphemy for us to be talking about soft tips and heavy backbones. It was almost blasphemy to be talking about anything more than a 15-aught O'Shaughnessy that's as big around as 3 things of spaghetti noodles with the biggest, dumbest barb you ever saw. I mean, Infishman was promoting those O'Shaughnessy's, and I used them, and they were giant, and they worked really well for big flatheads. But try to hook one on it, and half the time when you got one in the boat, you could set the hook as hard as you wanted, and the barb wasn't even penetrated. They were that big. We moved to tackle that was more suited for a catfisherman instead of just trying to borrow saltwater stuff and stuff that was like intended for limb lines and intended for trout lines and things like that. So yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Muskrat is still saying he is still stuck on the suspending rig is the hook snelled directly onto the leader line and the sinker on the bottom.
Yes, sir. That's it. And the hookup ratio is phenomenal. And for one reason is that you've got that weight on the bottom and you've got a bow in it. And I'll describe this at CatCon one more time or 3 more times, however long it takes. But you've got that hook that's in line. Okay. There's no need for a dropper because the inhale is so powerful that it's going to dip the rod. It's going to dip. It may even drag the sinker around a little bit, but just that sinker, especially a big sinker on the bottom, as soon as that fish starts to pull back, unless they're very, very tentative, and every once in a while I'll have to, which I wish I had a film rolling every time Sean and I fished all the time. Sometimes I'll actually push on the butt of the rod in the holder to get it to go down just a little bit so they inhale in the mouth. But as far as that down rig that I'm describing, it's way better than kayak catfish has his sinker up above, and it's basically like a Texas rig or a Carolina rig just suspended underneath the boat. Well, that's fine for fish that are ultra aggressive. And you can tell by watching kayak catfish's stuff, they're pretty ultra aggressive. But if he's going to get bites, they're going to come up a foot, 2 foot off the bottom, 3 foot off the bottom, 4 foot off the bottom, and he's going to get those aggressive strikes. And he does primarily all down rods. The problem is when you get into a river situation in which these fish are fed constantly. It's like trying to feed me after Thanksgiving dinner. Well, maybe I'll eat that piece of pie. Maybe I won't. You got to bring it to me first. You got to sit it on the coffee table, and then maybe I'm going to nibble it. Well, and that's the thing. If you're fishing for the pickiest big fish that you can find, the aggressive ones aren't a problem. I mean, those things will suck it in and slam it down and start ripping. It's the ones that maybe yes, maybe no, hook up. And a lot of people think those are small fish. I bet 80 pounders barely take a rod. I mean, the tip just goes bloop like this. That's it. And it just slowly goes down. And then I've had to actually convince them a little bit, even with a soft tip, even with 50-pound test, even with 14 to 24 ounces of weight, I still had to kind of help them out a little bit. And every once in a while, you guys will see us on lives catch a fish and we go, oh, I didn't think it was that big because it wasn't all that aggressive. It wasn't all that whatever. It was just kind of lurking around, inhale the bait, and then just sort of backed up a little bit. Now, we prefer it. We prefer it when it inhales it like a dragon and then rips line out. It's just a horrible creature to deal with. But every once in a while, we'll catch a 70 or an 80.
Because let's face it, Tim, we're all YouTube, so what looks better on live than this? Wow, the rod all the way over in the water. And
you know what, Stan? Mine are in the front of the boat. You guys never see the takedown on the down rods. It's always the back ones. But if we put the camera far enough to see the down rods, we can't read anybody's stuff.
Yeah, so right.
We're like, oh, one just went down on the down rod. It was awesome. You ought to see it.
Like I have said, Tim, that has quickly become, and the majority of my catfishing has been was bank, and then I started going out more in the boat with a green machine, and then we had our little John boat, so I was going out with with stand 3 and stuff. We were doing more of that out in the boat, but out in the boat, like the down rod, man, and I, I don't know.
There's no more exciting takedown than a down rod.
It's just, and I just say it that it's mine because, like, a lot of times, I'm sitting there and I'm sitting in the chair, I'm reading chat, so I can have that down rod right next to me, and I don't got to jump up to try to make it all the way to the back of the boat. And but there's been times where my one down rod has been the most active pole in the boat. So
absolutely. And Sean is the master of the down rod in our boat. In my boat, Sean's right there. I'm like, he'll be reading chat. I'll be like, down rod, and it's like in the water, and he'll like pick it up. Oh yeah.
And Tim, you brought that up before. Sometimes I'll have the down rod, I'll have it in my hand, and I will feel that, like what you were saying, and I'll actually see me go like this, where I'm actually feeding a little line, like I am tipping it down a little, and you can just it's more than just it's sitting there and it's gonna boom. Like, there is a finesse, there is a trick to it.
A down rod is a very slow way of bumping.
Yes.
Warren Stock. So did you say that you snell a hook with 4-foot long tagline and put the sinker on the end of that 4-foot long tagline? If so, how high up from the hook is your swivel? Another foot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's up a little bit.
I try not to leave it too long, because then to land a fish in the kind of current and the size, we don't want to be like 9 feet away from it. So I try to leave that swivel a foot, 18, 20 inches from the top of that hook, so that we don't have to crank down on it. You know what I'm saying? So,
and
yeah,
I'm going to be honest, Tim.
That's exactly right.
I've actually used that now as like when I've gone out trying to just put some fish up, because let's face it, like I said before, we're YouTube, so sometimes you got to put some fish up on there. I've actually used that same thing and put multiple hooks on it.
Yeah, you can.
And use that as, because now you're fishing a water column. You're fishing 4 foot of water column with baits in from the bottom up 3, 4, 5 feet even.
Yep.
So you're going to get more active bites, even from whatever, a couple pounds up to however many pounds.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're out there and you don't have monsters in your waters, and you're going out for feeder fish to eat, it's a good rig to use for that also.
Yep. It is.
There's a good question. Steve Ransom. What's up, Steve? Good to see you. Do you tighten or loosen your drag with a down rod?
Well, Steve, it depends. If I'm in 20 foot of water, I will leave it fairly loose. The deeper the water, I will tighten it just a little bit. But one thing about it, if you're only 40 feet away from the fish with monofilament, let's just say 50-pound test and 80-pound leader, you're going to want those drags a little less tight than you do your out rods. Because if I'm throwing 50, 60, 70 yards, I can afford to have a tighter drag than I can on those down rods. But you still have to have it tight enough to set the hook, if you get what I mean. And from my guiding experience back in the day, I am really particular about how tight or loose a drag is, because I don't want to have to try to tell, which Sean's completely skilled enough to mess with his own drag, but I'm a creature of habit. So I make sure that drag is just right in the front and just right in the back.
Your drag's going to be a little different depending on the rod you're using also. So
absolutely. But one of the things, I've got multiple types of rods in the boat these days. So I kind of give it the old fish, pull it out. I feel like it's about right, and I go with that. I do, however, mess with drags while I'm fighting fish. I do, because I really, I mean, sometimes I've had to put a pretty stout drag, and if you watch my videos, sometimes I have to grab the line, because otherwise this fight is going to be so long and so painful that it's just not even worth doing. Because if we get that screaming ass current and I get a fish that is wanting to come up off the bottom and fight me out, you'll see where I grab literally the line at points. I know, I can feel if he's going to rip it real hard, I'll let off on the line. But that is something I would never advise anyone to do, you know, unless I had ultimate confidence that they knew exactly what they were doing. But I will grab that line at certain points, because I know I have to, by the time I have to power a fish to just, you ever see a fight on a fish that just looks painful for the person and the fish? We get into
Yes.
it once in a while.
Yes.
And you guys haven't seen them on lives yet, but because usually by the time we're down there, the water's lower. But earlier in the year, when the bite is less predictable, and we're going to fish more like 6-7 hours for one great fish, which I don't really love to do for a live, because it's kind of painful for everybody watching. I like to see multiples and 2 or 3 at a time, and you know, we're going to catch a monster or two, blah, blah, blah. But you know, you guys won't see us go down there in June and then have those unbelievable, painful 45-minute fights for a 70-pound fish. You know, where you got to, you know, I'll film a video, you know, so a perfect example of that is Catfish Bites My Boat. If you watch that, you will see me grabbing the line, because it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I had to cut those fights in half. And still they're painful to watch on a video. I'm like, well, I couldn't just, you know, shorten it down to like 1 minute, because then people wouldn't get the idea of how it actually was.
Now, Tim, grabbing the line and let's say using your thumb on like the on the spool.
Yep.
Is that similar? Which one do you think is you have more control over?
Well, if I were to just thumb the spool in this situation, I would have no leverage, because I'm literally grabbing it.
There you go. Okay.
Up above and putting super leverage. I mean, that kind of stuff. You know, it sounds ridiculous, because a lot of people are like, catfish, they're not that hard to pull in, which a lot of times they're not. In a lake, I catch 150 in a lake. Oh, no big deal. You know, I caught fish over 100 pounds in Lake Cumberland years ago, like 2004, 2005, something like that, on 20-pound test, sitting on ledges that were 150 foot on the ledge, right on the bank. I mean, the boat is right on the bank. I'm fishing basically straight down onto a 170-foot ledge. And if you go off the ledge, it's 380 foot. So, but I'm using stuff that I would use for like big channel cats, and was still able to land them. You just have to have the right, you know, got to have patience. You're following them. There's no current. You're not anchored. You just up the anchor and you just go out and, you know, they're out fine. And these were some massive, massive fish. But if I was to have that same fish, you know, a 64-inch long flathead or a 67-inch long blue, which, you know, is big around as a wash tub, look out. That thing's going to put your back into a tweak if you don't, you know, have the right equipment. I mean, I don't think I could have landed either one of those fish in a river with even 3-mile-an-hour current on the rigs. A 6500 to me is like a spool. It's like a thimble.
Yeah.
You know, it's like trying to wind stuff up on a thimble, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to do it. I used to do it all the time. That's all I
Yeah.
had.
Well, Tim, if I can say, one of the things, you know, everybody hears me, you know, it's been the joke since I caught it, that 222-pound man,
Yes.
like I seriously blacked out through part of that. I know I did, but the one thing that kept going through my head the whole time is, you know, luckily talking with you, you were telling me the stories of how you've had to put your hand on the person's shoulder and say, relax, you're going to get it.
Yep.
Don't do something stupid now.
Don't
Don't
get tired
force
and
it.
force it. If you get tired and
And
force it, that's when you lose it. And trust me,
and-
I've done it.
how many big fish have you fought for a while? You're fighting, and you're like, all right, it's by the boat. I got to do this now. And you know the fish has still got more in it. And you see somebody do it, and you can see, like, you're like, oh my God, don't do it. Don't snap or snap, or the hook pops up. You can see when it's going to happen. But, you're as much to blame for that fish
Absolutely.
as anybody else, because that was what you could see that I was, even, as much as like I said, blacked out even through part of that. Like you could feel it. I never horsed it. Like it was when when you saw me pulling back on it, I knew I could pull back on it. When you saw me going like this and putting the rod down, I knew that I had to do that. I knew that but nothing was ever horsed. Nothing was ever like it. But I felt that the whole. So if you all got a big monster fish of a lifetime on, picture Tim, picture Epic, just sitting there putting his hand right now, just like he's talking now.
My signal is starting to wear itself thin on this.
I hear you.
So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go into chat. Thanks for having me on. I'll let you guys speak in peace because it's starting to. You guys are sounding like robots now.
Well, before you go, real quick, there was Warren was saying, when you were doing that with the down rod, as far as out, is it because of the line stretch with the drag, setting the drag loose? You don't got it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
I think we can answer that one. 922 Crappie Barbecue. Is there a certain reel that you would recommend for problems with bird nest? I think it's practice more than anything, but
actually, if you're not going after like super monsters, that one right there is a pretty darn good reel.
Yep,
I've got one.
It was what my wife and my son learned how to catch.
All right, Stan,
cast a bait cast.
Hardly hear
Thank you,
anybody.
Tim.
I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you in chat. Thanks for having me on.
all right. Oh, well, the pleasure's ours, Tim. The pleasure is always ours. Well, I'm sure we won't be up here too much longer. Woo! That's always awesome when you get Tim to come up. But let's see. I can see more feel.
But yeah, 922. I had some abus given to me, and I was struggling with backlashing and bird nesting a lot. And then I can't lie to you. I can't remember who kind of turned me on to the Piscifun and got one, and it made a world of difference. To me personally, they're just easier to cast. They're easier to adjust. And like I said, the wife and my son learned how to bait cast with that reel. It's just an easy one to learn with. If nothing.
Here's the good thing with the Piscifun is when you make adjustments, even on the drag, it's a click. So it's click, click. You can actually hear and feel that you're making the adjustments on it. Number two, the Piscifun, the Chaos, like you were showing there, it is the same exact reel as the Lose Speed Cast. The difference is half the price. The Lose Speed Cast, awesome reel. One of the reels I have on my Uncle Lou rods is a Lose Speed Cast. Amazing, amazing reel. Super easy to cast. I love the Piscifun is the same exact reel, and it's in a pretty blue color. But the adjustments are there. It is a great, so I can't disagree with Freddie on that at all. That's another one. The Ancient Mariner is a really smooth casting reel. The Abus, regardless of what reel you have, though, if you want to get good at using bait cast, I even did this since we've done YouTube, is if I'm using, we fish the James River, so a lot of times we're using 6 ounce, 8 ounce, whatever sinker. So whatever you're normally using, take all the hooks off, take everything off, put just that size sinker on the bottom of your line. That's all you have on there. go to a field or even the water that you're fishing, whatever. Go to any place where you can cast. Now you reel it up so that that is at the tip of the pole and it's hanging down just from the tip. You adjust your cast control to that till it just starts going down. So you want to use this and do that for every different reel that you have until you find which one you like casting better. They're all going to cast a little different. But you adjust the cast control, and you want it to just be able, it'll just go down about like that is what and that's what you want to start at. So then you click it open, you put it, and you keep your thumb close to it, and you learn to thumb it, and just keep casting with just the sinker. You're not fishing, you're not doing anything else. That's all you're doing, and you'll be surprised in a half hour how much better you get at it. Now, of course, once you put a hook and bait and everything on it, that's a whole different story. But that's, if you want to do it, start with that and just go and you'll be amazed. And then as you get better, what'll happen is you can loosen up that cast control, and you'll cast again. You'll be able to cast farther and farther. But that'll be the biggest thing, is adjusting the cast control to what you're using. That'll help with your backlashes more than anything else. What are we laughing at, Freddie?
Tim's comment there about breaks.
Oh, I got to go to the tablet for this one because I can't see.
Yeah, you don't put it up on screen, but
I'm so glad.
Oh my gosh.
But I agree with Roger. Pisky Fun, it would be great if Pisky Fun came out with different colors, because that is the only color on the Chaos series, the black and blue. Great color for most, I love the color, but it would be nice to have different colors.
Yeah, that's true, Epic. That's, hey, you don't want Epic to change. That's him. So, but that's true. But that's what I would do if you want to learn how to get better at casting a bait caster. And it's memory. It's muscle memory. And
yep. And if you're fishing, if you're going to fish multiple places where you got different weights that you're going to use, say you're using a 2 ounce here, a 3 ounce at the next place, and a 4 ounce at the next place. What I did, I got a little piece of duct tape, and I got little marks. I've got it where I can adjust straight to that weight on the side of that reel for that weight that I'm going to use. So I can just quick click, and I'm good.
Epic says 7,000s are smooth and don't backlash easily when adjusted.
Yep. And what it boils down to is your preference. If you can afford to buy you 1 or 2 different types of reels, get them, try them out, see which one you like the best, and then go from there.
Oh, no worries. No worries. That was, that's what we do. We come up here, and whoever wants to come up, and we talk about catfish and have a good time and answer some questions. Thank you. Thank you. We know Trophy Seeker Daryl's been up a bunch of times in the past, and praying for peace for you, my friend.
Yep.
Let's see.
It's been a great show. I was sitting in the living room, we ate dinner, and we're just sitting around relaxing. And Nina says, Stan needs some people up there. Go up there. Go. I'm like, I'm so full and tired. I just want to lay here tonight.
I know.
And then Dustin pops up, and then Kevin pops up, then Dustin pops up, and she's like, see, there's people in there. You better go. I'm like, okay, I'll go in there. So it kind of got me off my laziness. So that was good. Thanks, Stan.
But yeah, seriously, that's what I love doing. I love talking about this kind of stuff and the different journeys, and everybody's on a different body of water. Everybody's catching different fish. Everybody's got their own. That's why I love about what Epic said he's going to do during the. Hold on.
He's back.
That didn't take long.
All right, guys. I couldn't text this to everybody. So what I have to say about this backlash thing, very difficult at night to learn how to not backlash, especially like a big coffee can reel. Like a lot of the reels I have aren't really meant for casting. Like those big, what are those big dumb gold and black reels I've got? Burning sharks. They've got a big heavy spool. If you try to crank down the brakes at all, you're just not going to get anywhere. Just remember one thing: when casting a bait caster, especially when you're learning for the first time, you have to imagine you've got a stick, and you're basically going to throw a donut off of that stick. Okay, so it's more of a lob cast. Leave all the snap out of it. Like just say you're casting a lightweight lure for bass. You got to snap to it. Okay, you want to eliminate snap, and then as that thing flies, as your big bait flies, you want to keep your thumb poised and watch that thing. I can do it by angle and memory. You know, like I don't even I know when to spool the rod, thumb the spool before it even hits the water. But before I was really good at it, I would have to watch my bait and make sure to thumb the spool right before it hit the water. So the best thing to do, like you were saying, is practice in the yard or practice on a lake or practice any time that you can do that, because you can back that tensioner all the way off, completely all the way off, as long as you don't flick it, as long as you don't have that snap at the end, because it's the snap when the rod goes forward, the tip goes forward, and then it bounces back is when the backlash happens. But if you can lob cast and keep an even keel with it, point at your bait flying through the air, and then gently thumb the spool before it hits the water, that's spot on.
And Tim, for people that are using bigger baits than they should be casting and bigger weights, that is the technique. Like when people asked before about like the ugly stick rods that are rated to 3 ounces and you got a 8-ounce sinker on there, that's kind of what you're doing. It's kind of the lob cast. Like for those of us that are shooting big baits and using the big baits and big weights. Oh, he gone. But that's kind of what Tim was just saying. That's kind of how we have done with the ugly stick catfish rods and the Berkeley big game rods, where it's only rated. Well, Freddie, you fished the James. Have you ever used less than a 3-ounce sinker?
Me, yes, I used 2s, but it was really hard. It was over on the side.
I got to give it to you. The water was low. The water was low, and it was low tide that night. So yeah, that was
low tide, no current. But typically we were 4 to 6 ounces.
So that is kind of how you learn to cast those other rods like that. Tim, exactly right. You take one of those whippy type rods and you try to, like you're doing a bass lure. That's when you're going to snap lines. You're going to have issues with cracking poles and loosening eyes. But that's a good point. Let's see. Warren Stock is saying, Lance was saying about some of them old school Penn 209s. Steve was laughing at whatever you had said earlier.
Well, 922's, wanting some rods.
Yeah, and hey, if it's going to be a dream and you're sending them rods, why not throw some Pisky Fun reels on there also?
Well, it pairs great with the Chaos 40. The 5-foot and the 6-foot pair great with the Chaos 40 or the Chaos 50. Those are great reels to pair with the FOA rods when we get them in stock and got them for sale. There's just a little tip for you guys out
there. And if you want to get a super smooth reel, we got to go into what do you call it? Promoting mode or advertising mode here. I am, triple silly anglers. Use code
what? What's that? What does the triple silly?
Well, they happen to have Ancient Mariner reels, which I have used. Dustin from Team Snag and Whiskers, who is connected with Ancient Mariner. They are super smooth reel. they cast. I'd say they cast better than Abu's, which is saying something.
Yep. That's the Ancient Mariner to me is in my top two. My Piscophones
Yeah.
and my Ancient Mariners, just personal preference. With the wife and Trey and Holana fishing with me a lot, they do better with the Piscophone. Nothing about Ancient Mariners is any different to me. They're both great reels, and I've got both. And hands down, they're side by side. They're
There's not a huge difference, in price point compared to like an Abu that's $100 and whatever dollars, $200, $300. Your Piscophones is $50 shipped. Your Ancient Mariners are $80 or whatever shipped.
Yep.
So I mean, it's in the same wheelhouse, under $100, and but the Ancient Mariner has all the different colors and all that kind of. But that's what's great about CatCon. If you can get to a CatCon, whether it's Kansas City that's coming up here on October 7th and 8th, is all those things are there. So you can actually put those reels and those rods in your hands, and you can actually see the difference.
Yep.
Granted, you're not like, casting out into the water and stuff, but you can get a pretty good feel of, hey, I like this. Or, if you got different size hands and certain reels feel better, and everybody's going to have their own favorites. Or certain what works good for one person may not work for the next. So, and you can mount a Piscophone flame on them if you want a spinning reel.
Well, there has been a couple spinning reels put on the Freddie rods, the short rods. That the spinning reels will still work on a cast, and that's a big. The eyes are swap brown, so you got to be a little more careful with a spinning reel on a casting rod, but it can be done. It can be done. You just don't get the distance that you would, and then you got to kind of be a little bit careful because the backbone, depending on what rod you get, the backbone's made for a specific type of reel.
Mm-hmm. And with that, like the backbone, if you've ever made a rod or put a rod together, a blank has it wants to bend a certain way. So that's a big difference. Aside from the eyes, the big difference between spinning rods and bait cast rods is each blank has a certain way that it wants to bend. So when you're actually designing a rod or building a rod, like it bends a certain way. So spinning rod will bend the eyes on the bottom, and a bait cast rod will bend with the eyes on the top. But it will work other directions.
Yep.
But with that being said, just seeing if there's any other Shade Tree. We got to meet Shade Tree catfishing at last CatCon, and this I'm going to this CatCon a little heavy heart, and definitely next Louisville CatCon there'll be a little heavy heart. The mug is going with me, and for those that don't know, Jay Fox Hunter, he's been in everybody's chats out there. He passed a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Him and his lovely wife Maria, they brought this 22.2 gallon Mountain Dew mug to CatCon, and my favorite picture. I had some awesome pictures, and I love all of them. But my favorite picture, Freddie, is you and myself with Jay Fox Hunter.
Oh yeah. That was a great picture, and meeting them personally and getting to hang out with them and talk to them for the little bit of time we did at CatCon was, it touched us. I know it touched you, and it touched me as well.
Oh
so,
man,
it's great to see Maria starting to come back into chats, and we're here for her if she needs anything. She
that's right. That carrying on the legacy, and it's just. But I talked to so many awesome people. Shade Tree, so many people spoke to me about our fathers and sons with me in Stand 3, and now you've been out there. You and Trey actually whooped us on the. It was a non-contest contest on the Uncle Luda 500.
Yeah,
and to get beat by a 2-inch catfish.
I was explaining The fish was about the size of one of these Freddie cats, wasn't it? Like that.
Yeah, probably pretty close. But hey, that's what it's all about. Fathers and sons out there. We were having a great time. And daughters. I say fathers and sons, but fathers and daughters, family. And it was amazing.
Yeah, and we call our little fish that beat you. It's in the fish tank. We brought it home because Trey wanted to bring it home. So we've named it Deuce. So
Deuce.
it has a name. So Deuce is in the fish tank doing really well. He's about half the size of some of the goldfish, but he's doing all right.
Hey, well, you know me, I love taking second, and what better thing to take second to than another father and son? So that was awesome. But with that being said, thank you, everybody. We still got 41 awesome people out there. We'll be back next Friday night. If you want some questions, pop up and oh my gosh, I keep forgetting I won't be here next Friday night.
Nope.
Friday, maybe I'll go live from CatCon. Who knows?
There you go.
Oh, yeah, maybe from Marilla's room. Who knows? But
maybe,
possibly. Who knows?
If not, maybe Stan 3 can fill in.
That would be something totally different. He'd need a little help with that. He's not.
Well, if he decides to do it, he can let me know and we work something out.
Awesome.
I'll be up that way anyway. I'll be up on Kerr or
Oh, that's right. You are
We'll
up.
be at Gaston / Kerr next Friday, so
Maybe come up with him.
Epic says he'll go on with me.
That's right.
That's
We'll
right.
be there with you.
Maybe we'll do that epic after CatCon seminar with the salt shakers and napkins and forks and spoons and. But that being said, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody being out there. Yes, live from CatCon. Okay.
That's what you call it.
And look, it's a perfect time to end the show because you've been live for 2 hours and 22 minutes right now.
Exactly. All right. Deuces. We're out. Thank you.